Everyone, today I'll be reviewing this new Japanese movie just dropped on Netflix called Homunculus. And this movie is based on a manga, I understand, and this is a psychological thriller. And when I saw the little teaser, you know how it shows you on Netflix, and I saw the teaser for this movie and I was like, oh, this looks really very interesting. So this movie did started with this amazing plot. When I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is really very interesting thing I'm watching here, because I had no idea what this movie was about. So in this movie, when the center character Sumosu, he used to be working for a big financial company. When something happened to him, then he become homeless person. He was living in a somewhere in the park, and but he still had money, but in this movie he had no memory of who he is, where he come from, or where is everybody. And also same time nobody was looking for him, so he was really in a bad situation. Then one night, this guy out of nowhere, he's a medical student in this movie, he comes to him and he offer him this. He wanted to do experiment on him, where he's gonna drill a hole on his head, and then this when you drew this hole in your head, it sometimes activate your sixth sense. That is the idea here in this movie, which I found really very interesting when I was watching it. Of course, as this movie progresses and you know more about this character and what is this medical student, what is his motive, when it's all come together in this movie, what do I think about overall this movie? So I will say, first act for this movie is super interesting. I was totally hooked what is happening. Once this movie start telling me stuff how he's seeing stuff, think other people when he does this and see this, and this is something inside you, something you did a long time ago, and the way it shows you. I think those things were very interesting. So the one guy was turned into a robot and the way he punched him, those things were quite interesting. Especially the medical student, he was invisible. So these might be spoilers. So spoiler warning, this thing I'm saying. If you have seen this movie, if you have not seen this movie, so spoiler warning from here, because I'm saying stuff there, spoilers. So this medical student, he was basically invisible in this movie. At first he was like, oh, I don't see you. Then this the teenager girl shows up in this movie, where this movie I lost interest when this there was one weird scene in this movie really turned me off totally. When I was watching this movie, really, I was almost felt like throwing up. So that is the problem for this movie, is that scene did not need it in this movie at all. And the story they're telling here is interesting, but you don't need to show too much detail. End of the day, you are just seeing something people are hiding them inside, which is I like that they're showing me visually. You don't have to show me too much visually. Leave some room for imagination. That is what my philosophy. But in this movie, I think this director, he tried to show it too much. That weird scene he put it in this movie totally turned me off. After that, I really lost interest. How this movie ended, I was especially this medical student, his life, his dad did not love him. He loved that goldfish. I'm sorry, I found it hilarious when I was watching it. He killed that goldfish because his dad did not love him enough. He loves that goldfish. What the heck? It was funny, interesting, and I basically this medical student he was going through, his character was quite interesting, I would say. He's because he was trying to find out, and toward the end you do realize this movie, because when he tells Sumusu that some people get this sixth sense, some don't. So so when he revealed that information, I was oh, that's interesting. So that means the Susumu, I am saying his name wrong. That means his character is a interesting character. Also, he's unique because he got the sixth sense, other people ain't. So I thought that is very interesting. Toward the end, how this movie wrapped up was still very interesting, I would say. Some of the scene, I guess he showed me too detailed, that turned me off. Otherwise, it was interesting watch. Did I waste my time watching this movie? Not really, because I learned something new about this. As I was saying, this medical student, however, his character was interesting. At first, the way he was acting, I don't know, I was expecting him to be a gay person, but he wasn't at the end of this movie. Then I was oh, he was just a like going crazy person in this movie. I guess at the end of this movie, he just like drew a hole into his head, and I was like, that I saw it coming because he was going crazy regarding this the experiment he was doing with this guy. Obviously, that is something he would do at the end. So I would say this movie started with the amazing. Halfway it became weird for me. Toward the end, it was still very interesting. I will say overall, it's a mixed bag for me. As I explained, still I didn't waste my time because I did it took place in Japan. It was interesting watch, I will say, but all the food they were eating made me hungry. That being said, I would say it's interesting, but minus all the weird scene, and all the visual looked really good too. I guess this director, he dragged some scene. I forgot to say that some scene, the middle part, he really dragged. I felt like I was like watching it going in a circle. It's too much drag in the middle. Toward the end, because when you learn at the end like what happened to his his wife and his like he's supposed to have a baby or something like that. It was tragic toward the end, but how he accepted that reality, I liked it, I guess. Anyway, that was my thought on this movie. Thank you so much for checking this out. Let me know in the comment if you enjoyed my review. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to leave your comment what do you think about this movie, and take care.